All right, hello. My name is Daniel Guys. I'm the creative and technical director at ED Films. I'm just doing another unofficial Twitch stream. For this stream, we're going to take a bunch of trees that we painted in Rebel and bring them into Photoshop, cut them out, and export them into Maya so that we can use them as 3D objects. And hopefully that process will be relatively painless. You know what? I haven't even saved this file once since we started. So I'm going to go back here. I just have to save this. Scenes, trees, white birch. So being my white birch skinny ones. And we'll just export this out as a Photoshop. So save as PSD. So I tend to put my stuff in this work folder for now. It's a new format, file format structure I'm trying to work with. We'll save that out. Rebel, it usually takes a lot longer to save a Photoshop file. So what we are trying to do is populate this little environment with more and more stuff, filling and fleshing out the scene, making it feel, and again, it's using all these 2D assets, very similar to the workflow that I do in After Effects, but the added benefit of speed. I can move around way more quickly, and also I can bend things and incorporate 3D a lot easier. And eventually this will all be pulled into Game Engine so that it works seamlessly. Okay, so let's go into Photoshop and start prepping our stuff. Actually, let me just save this here. We'll end up closing this scene, and actually we'll just do a new scene. Okay, and this will be our new trees. Okay, Photoshop, we don't need this right now. Let's open up our painting. So it's over here, projects. It's really deep. Production, 3D, Maya. This project. Scenes, tree. Uh-oh, don't do that. Trees, white birch, textures, work, PSD. Oh my gosh, it's so far down. Is it even there? Oh, tree sets B. Open. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to create texture sets that we can use to lock all this stuff down. Because if you look at this, they're all very transparent. In Rebel, everything's quite transparent because of the way we're painting with water. So we need to create things that are more solid. I was trying to paint custom alpha maps like this. I was going to try to use that method, but it was taking quite a long time. We'll just pull one and see how it looks. I'm going to put a solid here. So that's one way to do it. Okay, it looks pretty looky. It's not horrible, but it's not lovely either. Another way we can do it is control click it. So I'm going to try couple things. Looks a little better, but it's not amazing. The other way we can do it is we can try to use the magic wand, which may work or may not. That's the wrong layer. We want to use it on. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, we'll try on the tree trunks and see what we get. So we can inverse this, press Q. I mean, that's not terrible. And then I can just use an eraser and come along here and grab little spots that didn't quite work out. It's maybe a little boring, but it's got to be done. I keep saying animation is very slow and very boring. And then, that's why we're not, when you're an animator, you're not the coolest, funnest person in the world. Well, maybe you are. I don't know. That's conjecture. I'm certainly not. I'm speaking for myself. Okay, so we're going to, this is probably going to be the worst part of everything. Just kind of getting, the nice thing, I guess what we can do is we can take some creative liberties and build some extra little bits here and there if we really want to. But this will be the worst of it. And as I get used to it, I will get faster. Okay. Now this one has a pretty smooth edge. I've made a brush that has a rougher edge, I think, is this one. This one's a little better for roughness when you go skinny. Oops. I noticed a lot of streamers, they put on music on their stream. I'm not doing that mostly, well, one, for legal reasons. I don't want to have to pay for music. And another one, I feel like, you know, if you hate the music I like, it's kind of ruin the stream for you. So you're probably better off just to put on your own music. I'm never going to say anything that important. Well, maybe I will. Depends. Okay. This is going to take a little time, but I don't think it's going to take as much time as painting each one of these manually. Some of these branches need a lot of attention, but... And mostly I'm having to do this because we're working in the game engine. And the game engine doesn't really like my alpha channels. It doesn't like soft alphas. I mean, we're trying to find a way to do it, but it's really hard on the engine, so I have to kind of clean all this stuff up and make my edges a little harder, which is sort of annoying. It wasn't exactly the way I wanted to have to go with the visuals, but we just don't have a choice if we're going to work in the game engine. We may find a way around it yet. Okay, just a few more. And then we got 1,000 branches to deal with. I'll try to be fast. I really have a tendency to get over precious. It's me failing. Try to keep moving. Because no one's even going to ever look that close at these trees. So for the game engine, what I've been doing is I've been outputting an alpha channel as well, instead of just using a PNG file for the final trees. So I do everything in a couple of layers. For close-up trees, I'm doing like a layer with white on it, and then a layer that is shading, and then a layer that is the line work. There we go. Almost there. Just have to make sure the trees, this tree's got a little bit of a weird profile. It got skinny down here. It should not get that. Trees should constantly get bigger as you go lower. Well, these trees anyway. Not all trees. Some trees are different. Okay, we're just about there. Just about there. I know this is so slow and boring, I know. Okay, next tree. I'm taking a little bit of creative license to extend them, or I don't want the edges to be perfect. I think that's the point of this, is to have a nice amount of visual variety, a little bit of imperfection. I really like roughness around things, and you know. But the one thing I don't want, though, is I don't want it to start looking messy or muddy. And that's what we've been finding a bit in the game engine, is that textures can get kind of muddy, especially around with alpha channels. If the alpha channels aren't really well controlled, they can get really mucky looking. Because it has to card everything. Like it turns everything for the fastest processing materials take your alpha channel and they turn it into a matte, which is like a 2-color matte with no gradation. So everything looks really hard. You don't get nice soft fall off on your alphas. You can do it, but what we found so far is that it won't work with depth of field. It won't work with certain types of shader modes, like a depth pass. It won't work with a depth pass. So it's a little limiting currently. Okay. Okay, we're almost there. We only have a couple more. So boring. It's very boring. I don't mind doing this myself. I just feel bad when there's an audience. Thankfully, there's not very many of you guys. We'll get to the good stuff soon. I promise. Adding little bits of visual information that I know will be cool once I get the paper texture under it. Like right now it just looks kind of gross and gray, but it will look fine. Before After Effects had this quick mask feature, it used to be really hard. I used to have to do stuff like this, but I would be using the lasso tool, or I would draw on top of a layer. I would basically create a manual version of this where you would create a solid, and then you would draw underneath the thing you wanted, and then you would turn that into a mask. Might get rid of that. I don't really like that fork-looking thing. Go there and there. Okay. Last one. Then all we have after this we have is the horribly boring branches. But they're not going to be boring once we get them in Maya, because they're going to be super fun to help flesh our trees out. You could draw these kind of trees that you would in whatever program you want. I find them they're faster for me in Rebel because I get a lot of natural detail that I don't have to put in myself. A lot of nice edges, a lot of color, not color, but tone shifts on these because the film's black and white, largely. Black and white with tint. But I get a lot of cool stuff almost for free, it feels like, without having to over-control the drawing. Cool. Those are masked. So I'm pressing Q, and now what I'll do is I'll just duplicate this canvas, and I'll put a layer mask on it. Boom. Okay. So now we can sort of see how this will look on the gray. That looks pretty good. And the nice thing about, what we did here is that at any point we can add more or take something away. So it's non-destructive. Looks pretty good. All right, next, let's do, we don't need that anymore. That's garbage. Glad we didn't go that route because that would have sucked. Branches. Oh, God. Now, this is not going to be the most fun. So if you want to leave, come back in like 10 minutes. And then we'll be further along. So I'm just using the magic wand with pretty much the default sensitivity. I think I could turn it up more. I'm not sure. Let's press Q. Let's see what we got. This should not be as miserable an affair as we just had. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't call it miserable, but it's certainly not very fun. These should be, there's less length here, so maybe that'll be easier. And I think they're okay being a bit ratty. I just want to make sure I get as much of the artwork as possible. Okay, give it a little edge there. So that's 2. Let's see how fast and good we can get. Okay, now it's fine. That's fine. We'll extend it a bit. That one's okay. We'll just add a little. No, that's 2 mirrors that too much. Let's just leave it like that. Okay. Next. I'd prefer it if I could fade off the branch edges mostly because I could put ones in the front and they wouldn't look so bad. So I could have a nice smooth inky transition on them. But as it stands right now, I have to have this like really hard, crappy transition. Nilo Mikey, welcome. Nilo Makai, I don't know how to say your name, but welcome to the stream. I'm going to actually just try this on some of my branches. I'm pretty sure I can get away with this in Engine a little, since they're hard edges. Just kind of do that. It might help the alpha channel look a little better. Okay, and let's go here. Welcome to the stream. Looks like we've got a few more people now. I imagine, is today a holiday, an American holiday? Does anyone know? If anyone's American here, I think I'm under the impression that it's Thanksgiving was either yesterday or today. Canada, we have it a lot earlier. Okay. Might extend this just a little bit. I'm going to try these little liney things, and we'll see if that helps us merge stuff into the trees. Oh, YouTube named you? I never knew that it did that. When I first got my YouTube account, I think it was 2007. So it was kind of a little bit of a different beast back then. In fact, that's one of the reasons I think my YouTube account is under Everyone Dies Films. That's sort of what I was calling my own freelance company at the time. But we never managed to change it because so at least maybe that can be changed now, but it used to be that you couldn't change your YouTube name without losing all your views and all that kind of stuff. So anyways. So I have our like business email or business YouTube linked to this old personal name. I can't get rid of it. Oh, I got to be careful actually. I'm extending these branches. Oh, you're from the Caribbean. Well, welcome from the Caribbean, Robert. My cousin's name is Robert. What's the weather like in the Caribbean today? I know it's a big place. Out here, it's not that you asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's quite cold out here. It was minus 20, I think, the other day. Sonny, you're in Trinidad. I've never ever been to Trinidad. Do you like it there? Did you grow up there? I guess that would be an appropriate question too. Has it always been your home? Oops, swap this. You can swap between by pressing X. Okay, guys, we're almost there. It's really uninteresting, but we're just about there. I always think of streaming as kind of, it reminds me, I mean, I never used to do it, but it sort of reminds me of what I imagine being a hairdresser is. You're kind of working and focused, but you're sort of babbling the whole time. If you guys on the stream ever want me just to like stop talking, I'm fine with that. I just don't really, I guess I don't really know the format for what a stream should be. I was doing Twitch for a while. But the audience numbers were so low so much, which was nice and it was intimate, but it was so much work for the stream. It was really hard to justify it. Okay, almost there. That guy's done. Is this one done? No, it's not done. Oh, it's so deceptively simple. You're just like branches. It's not that hard. Okay. Almost there. Oops. Okay, this one looks okay in general. I don't want to go to the edge of the drawing because that will leave us nowhere to go. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate your feedback. Okay, we're just about there. Actually, we need our eraser back. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've put the branches in. I think that's all of them. Quit, and then we'll do the same thing here. We'll create another. I guess we could just keep these as the same layer. We could just delete this from the tree stuff unless we want it to be a different type of paper. I might make them like a new group just because it'll give me some more control over their value if I need to, like their tone. Duplicate. We'll just put that in there, and we'll do this because I might want to bring this color down a little bit, and we can do that either by using we could use like a curve, or we could do something like this where I'm just putting a multiply, and let's put that actually. No, we can put that like this. Okay, so let's reduce its opacity. We either reduce its opacity or just increase its lightness. It's really one way or the other. Doesn't matter. As you wish. So again, the branches are usually a bit darker. Cool. Eventually we could always add more stuff to it. Okay, so the next thing we need to tackle, we're almost done as far as like prepping the PSD file. We need to just do the foliage. This one's going to be a little tricky, only because I certainly cannot trace around all that. And let's move it a little bit more this way, so it's more in the center. This is a 4K, 4096 by 4096, so it's essentially being prepared for, like I said earlier, a game engine. So what I'm going to do for this one, I think I'm going to just duplicate this and duplicate it a bunch of times, and then merge this together, control click, and then duplicate the canvas off and mask that and see how that feels. It doesn't always work. Doesn't always look good. It sometimes could look too harsh. But it keeps, is this the actual pixel size? No, that is. It keeps some of the transparency. It gets a little bit keeps some of the hardness. The only problem is it's not ideal, again, for game engine because it's not pure black or white. So we could always go even more intense by duplicating and duplicating and duplicating until it's quite solid. But I find I do want to hang on to some of the translucency, and then we'll see what we can do about getting the game engine to accept it down the road. So I'm going to gray this off just a little bit just to get the value right. Now it's hard to say at this stage whether do we want to, I think like in general for birch trees, because birch trees are so white, the foliage is darker than the actual bark itself, of course. So let's go here and just have a look. This is fall, so the foliage gets quite bright in the fall. So the foliage is kind of value-wise very close to the value of the tree. So if we pop those in there, our foliage right now is quite dark. But we do need to take some artistic liberties here to make things look as good as possible. The only thing I'm a bit concerned about is that whitish edge around things. So let's just darken this canvas even more. I want to make sure that if we're getting lightness in here on these edges of the foliage, that it sort of feels justified. So that can, like you'll see if I turn this on and off, sometimes it does weird stuff. Like you see that right there? That's not desirable. So there's a couple ways we can go about this. Is we can either take this mask layer here and try to blur it a little bit. But then that, I mean, that looks like it's kind of made it a bit worse. The other option is to drop this inside, which didn't really make a big difference. Let's see what we can do here. The other option is to go select, modify, contract by, I think we have to do one whole pixel. And then we could just redo this layer, delete. And that should look a little bit better. But we'll get this a tiny bit of black edge, which is coming from this thing here, which isn't so bad because it's meant to be over top. The other thing we could do is just make it a solid and use an opacity map. So instead of using the branches just floating in the air, we just put them on the paper like this. And then we create like an alpha channel that we're going to actually use to cut the thing out. So for that we would go like, we would make this white, for instance. Then we would put a black. And in Maya or even in the game engine, it would see this as like the alpha channel for this. I think I might just grab this one though. Not sure if that's the right one actually. That's probably not. That's the original. Okay, so I just selected it and I'm just deleting it a few times. What I could do is I could go in here. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to deal with this. So just if you bear with me for a second, I'm just trying to find the best way to get rid of these. Just the few of the speckles aren't going to be that desirable. A few here and there is okay, but look, if you look how we can see how far away we are from completely opaque. Just on the fence about this. I'll group this together to be our alpha for now. Like this won't be a problem as long as the paper looks good. As long as it looks good with the paper. So I guess we'll just see. We'll just have to see. So let's take, I mean, the other option is, I'm just brainstorming out loud here, is to go like something like this. I just used the magic wand. Let's just see what that looks like. We'll duplicate this really quick. Every aspect of every project presents a different problem, I find. I mean, that's not horrible. They look a little chunky and weird. But what happens once we put our ink on top? It's not my favorite. It kind of looks horrible. We would have to really darken that up. Okay, let's not do it for now. I don't like it. I like this one better. We'll see. It may not work. Or like I said, other option is just like that with an alpha channel. So let's, okay, so we're going to start saving these out anyways. First thing we have to do is we need to turn these into Photoshop layers, or sorry, Maya 3D objects that we can use. So I think what I'm going to do first is we're going to, just bear with me for a moment as I process this. We have our trees with these. So what we'll do for now, I'm going to just save this. This is my trees set B. It's my working file, so I'll just like save it like this. And then I'm going to save one where it's a lot flatter, okay? So we'll call it set B. I usually call it flat. And in this one, we'll just merge stuff together. I think we're okay. I think I'm okay with the general feeling. Let me just do something really quick. I'm just going to group this together. I may do this really quick. Grab my texture brush. Come on, I make them bigger. It's not getting bigger for some reason. Weird. Okay, I was gonna grab this and just do like a really light texture on the, just darkening maybe along the bottom here, just on the paper too. Does that look any good? Does that look horrible? looks unnecessary. Not doing it. Okay, moving on. Okay, I think for now we'll just group these. So we'll group that and we'll call that birch thin trunks. Okay. And then we'll do the other one here. I think I want to make those even a bit darker. Okay. I'm on the fence about them. Bear with me for a moment as I figure this out. I don't really know. I have to make a decision here. So for these guys, what would most likely happen, I'm going to grab this brush really quick. They would be a little bit lighter at the ends of the trunks, or where the birch is connecting to the tree, and then it would get darker as it went off. So on some of the big ones, what I'll do is just erase some of this off at the base so that they can blend off the tree pretty naturally. Okay, there you go. All right. Little variety here and there. Should look okay against a light sky. These ones might not look good against a dark sky, but thankfully we don't have many of those in this film. Okay. All right, I think it looks okay. So we'll just merge that for now. Actually, we'll save one more version of this. Branch fixes. Okay. Merge this down. Branches. Okay. Then this is our foliage. Again, I'm just not sure about how this foliage is going to work out. If I could do this in After Effects or something, I would have this a lot looser. The alpha channel would be way looser. I wouldn't worry so much, but I don't have the same flexibility. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. I think maybe the goal we'll do first is just make it look good in Maya and imagining like it's kind of like After Effects, and then we'll just go from there. I might even go, let's go like this. Let's go click that. We'll junk this, delete. We'll put this on like that so you can see it's barely visible. And I'll just delete a couple, and maybe I'll do this. Select, modify, let's do a contract by 1. And then we'll go select, modify, feather by 0.5. Okay, see how that looks. 2, 3. Maybe let's just do select, modify, contract by 1. Maybe, and this time we'll feather it more. Select, modify, feather by, let's do 1. That might look better. Okay, it's still a little fuzzy in there. I don't like that. Okay, let's take this one and go select, modify, expand by 2. Select, modify, feather by 1. Okay, let's just delete that for a few times. That looks terrible. Don't do what I just did there. I'm experimenting, so I'm sorry if it looks awful. I just don't like those dots. Those dots look miserable. What are those things? Well, it's actually, I mean, it is speckles from the paper. I may just have to get rid of those, that happening in the sim. We'll have to be careful. Although we're never going to get that close to these branches. I think, well, the closest we'd get is here. The other, maybe let's just try this really quick. Just bear with me for a second. They don't look so bad there. Let me just try I'll duplicate this out, hide this one, and let's just smudge it. Sorry, it's a bit of an artifact I want to figure out a little bit on because I feel like it's kind of distracting. That fixes it a little bit. I'll just mush off the edge a little. It's just so intense. I don't like it. I don't mind little speckles. I just don't like the black outline around them all. Okay, we'll just clean this up. I think it's gonna make for a weird, might be a bit weird, but I think it's fixing that horrible, weird black edge thing, and I don't mind the scratchy lines a bit. Trying to think of another way we could solve this problem. It's mostly the way that we have to create the alpha channel, which is causing this. And we could leave it because it doesn't look like the worst thing in the world. Whoa, this alpha's messy. Just bear with me for a second. Sorry. Quite a process, this. That branch looks terrible. That we must have missed that one. That's okay. We could do... What do we do there? We just don't worry about it, maybe. Let's just go like this. And then I'll code this and I'll invert it. And then I'll use my eraser and paint it back in. And I'll darken it. Sorry, this process is so long and boring. I wasn't expecting it to take this long. But there's just so much to deal with. It would be way longer if I drew these by hand and then had to scan them out, which I've done before. Scan them and then cut out everything, which also takes forever. Okay, there's a couple little artifacts here and there from the trees. It's not a perfect process by any means, but they're meant to look a little rough, so I guess, you know, that's what we're doing. Okay, and what was the one we just fixed? This one. The one looked terrible. So we'll just take this, darken it out a little bit. Get it about in the same area as the other ones. Cool. Okay. We'll just merge those two together. Just quick and dirty fix. All right. Let's finish dealing with this foliage stuff. I might try one last thing before we go in and try to like manually remove all those speckle problems. I might even just leave it. It's not that, it's bad there. God. Well, the other option is we don't use the black at all, and we just use the cutout. That doesn't look that good. Let's try an overlay. No, it doesn't look good. Just bear with me. I'm going to take this. Okay, we'll go select. I'm going to try one more thing. Contract. Problem with contract is it makes those holes bigger. Select. Feather. Unless I could do something in After Effects, I would do a kind of clean alpha holes kind of thing. Let's put this up here. No, that looks horrible. It looks even worse. I got it to work on the other trees okay, but it's just not really holding up on these ones. Because, I mean, it's just looking kind of bad. Ugh, hate it. Okay, let's try something else. We have to try something else. I think on these ones I went and mucked them around a bit too. So we're going to save this. We'll open the other one. Sorry guys, I know this is really boring. Getting closer to figuring this out. Okay, so these are original foliage branches. I'm just going to bring it in because I kind of mucked it up real bad. Don't really care where they are. Put them here for now, I guess. So those are the ones we want. Wait a minute. Okay. This is the original mess. That's the original there. So let's control click this. Oh, it's my own personal short film. Don Tien Guyan. I don't know how to say her name exactly, Guyan. But anyways, yeah, it's a personal project, which is interesting and cool. We'll be seeing it in a second. Okay. So the question is, so these, this looks fine, kind of like that, but it doesn't have enough opacity to be what we need it to be. This darkness stuff is not helping us. Like those almost look okay. They're a little harsh, but okay, just bear with me. I wish I could just use them like this because they look pretty rad like that. I guess they're not quite opaque enough, but what can we do to munch these holes together in this mask? Because if I delete it, it makes it nice and solid, but it messes everything up. Let's go select, modify. I'm just going to try something. 1. That should get rid of like the little dot. Oh, no, it doesn't. If I go Control-Shift-I, no, because that's no different than contracting. Okay, I'm just trying to figure this out. Select. What can we do with it? I guess we could do border. What does that even do? That's not what we wanted. This is the worst. I'm sorry, guys. I really just have to nail this down because it's driving me crazy. I just want to get good foliage. The worst thing I'd have to do is like go in and paint all of it manually. I just don't want to have to do that. Problem is right now when I delete it like that, well, maybe this will be okay if we just don't use the dark stuff. Let's also go modify, expand by 1 maybe. No, that doesn't look good. Maybe it does. It's kind of doing like this weird mushy thing. Select, modify, feather. 1. Is that horrible? It's not as horrible. There's a little horribleness, but not the worst. Oh, that looks horrible. Maybe it's because that's on. Okay. Don't really mind that. Maybe if we just use a paper and this stuff. I'm just going to think about this. How can we... Like, this stuff would look sick if it wasn't so lined up. Let's just, like... What happens if we unwind this? It'll look fine if it's not... Yeah, so maybe... Okay, you know what we're going to do? This is going to be a little bit annoying. But I think this will fix it. So this looks okay to me. Looks kind of sweet. The downside of what we have is we have all these like hard edges that aren't matching up with this. So what I'm thinking we do is we just like paint textures underneath it. Oh, amazing! Hey, Arik, I'm not quite sure how to say your name, but thank you for thanking me, and good luck on your project. That's amazing. You're almost there. Are you getting an animation degree, I'm assuming? Or is it something else? Okay, 2 things we could do here is we could paint textures just in Photoshop. Or another thing we could do is actually just do a whole bunch. Okay, let's just do this. Sorry, guys. I know this is utterly annoying and terrifically boring. I wanted to get further along. We're just about there. So what we're gonna do is turn the trees off, turn this off, and turn this off. And I'm going to paint. I'm gonna make this like way less opaque, and I'm going to paint textures under here. Just a whole bunch of like spattery stuff and whatever. We'll wet the canvas. Okay, just wet it. And I'm gonna take my little splatty brush, and I'm gonna make my brush as big as I can, and I'm just gonna do stuff like this. Now I thought I wet the canvas. Did I not? We don't want it to be too noisy because it will be distracting with all this stuff going on. We have to be really careful. Okay, so I've wet the canvas. I'm going to go through and just add some stuff all over around these guys because we can't use the textures we had because we're getting these weird edges. And I think I'm going to have to do this on my other foliage as well. Like we're kind of in the process of developing a methodology. That looks terrible. A methodology around how to make this foliage work. So now I'm going to go like this. I'm going to put like this around all these areas so we have something. Hopefully that smokes off a little bit. It's not even a word. Okay, I'm going to do this everywhere. I'm getting a whole bunch of text messages. There we go. This will take a minute to simulate because we have so much stuff on here. We'll just let that run for a second. Okay. All right, so now what I want to do is I've done that. We've got a little texture. I'm going to grab a super fine little splatty brush. Let's see what that bleeds out as. I want to be careful that it doesn't bleed out too much because I want to get a little bit of texture-y stuff in there. So let's just go in and add some of these. Okay, hopefully this works. This is sure a lot of time for something that might not work. Okay, so you see how that's all bleeding out with the water, which is nice. I think it's nice. It's kind of a speckly looking. Maybe I should put a bit of an angle on this so it drips down a little bit. And then maybe we'll dry the layer. Soon. Let's let the speckliness go away. It's pretty interesting. There's some neat stuff happening in there. So let's dry. No, don't wet. Dry. There we go. Now I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm just going to do some quick speckles that are super wet. And they should bleed out a little bit. Or maybe we'll do leafy things. Whoa, they're really drippy. Good thing I made a new layer because that would have wrecked everything. Actually, let's do this. We're going to exit. We'll reduce the loading so that we don't have so much water. And we'll kind of go like flatten it out. Take multimedia majority at your university and make an animation based on local story from my homeland. Oh no, thank you. Don't ever apologize for bad English here. I only speak one language well, and moderately well at that. And on top of that, I'm in a French country or province, and I should be speaking better French. So I never fault anyone for not being able to speak better English. I think it's amazing that so many people around the world speak so many different languages. Because I live in a country where you can get away with one language, and your opportunities are not horrifically limited by that, by language ignorance. So please don't ever apologize. Okay, so we're going to throw these guys in really quick. I'm going to just round out the bottoms a little bit, just to give us a little more texture. Let's see if this looks cool or if it looks horrible. Who knows? But I'm just going to put this in here. Congratulations for almost being done, though. That's a huge accomplishment. Was it a 3 to 4 year program, 5-year program? I think those programs, at least in Canada, they're usually about anywhere from 2 to 4 years. Okay, and then we'll grab this. Geez, I'm not sure. Let's just see what happens now. It's going to be a little bit crazy looking for a bit until we turn this down, turn off the other layer. Okay, I'm not sure about those, but we can at least tone them down. No problem there. Okay, so we got some texture. Let's go see how it looks. So I'm going to save this as a new file. We'll just save it like this for now, and then I'm gonna get rid of some stuff because I think this is a useful, potentially useful workflow. Is it saving us as a PSD or as a, I don't know. We'll just do this. Who cares? Save as. We'll do a new PSD, and we'll call this tree set B with foliage texture. So in my previous trees, let's just open. I want to just open that scene and have a quick look because now I'm all paranoid that they look garbage. Sets, scenes, this one. We'll let this load in for a sec while that file's saving. And then hopefully it's saved. Open it up. It's not there yet. Rebel saves like PSDs, especially the more layers you get, the slower it saves. I think it's a slow process writing out the files. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the Maya file because I'm all nervous and my textures suck now. Okay, we'll get close to one of these branches. I don't find these ones look too bad. You're not supposed to ever get that close to them. And I have them set to like semi-translucent, which they probably won't be in the thing because once you move, it sort of breaks them a little bit. Like I've got here on the transparency, I've done a bit of an alpha gain at 0.96. Kind of makes them a little more transparent. Like right now, they're just a bit too dense. I was trying to make it so we had some more variety in the density here. Okay, so this should have saved by now. I think this will look pretty dope. We'll see. Okay, foliage with texture. So now we just have to take this. We'll merge. We're not going to merge anything, sorry. We're going to take these three. We'll group them together just so it's easier to make sure it all lines up. We'll stick it over here. And then we'll just close this one because we don't really need it. And I'm just going to stick it above everything so I can see where it's supposed to be. About there. I don't need to be too precious. Nope, not too particular about it because it is just texture that's going underneath in here. Cool. That looks awesome. I think that looks a lot better. Okay, so I think we're past 100% at this point. 100% is there. I think that looks okay. Cool. I think it looks way better. Way better than that garbage. Get out of here. I hate you. There you go. So what's cool, I guess, about these, I like that. And these can also be moved around. Cool. I'll have to do more of that. I think that idea works really well. So we can use the really cool alpha channels created by Rebel and then go in and sweeten up our tree detail underneath, which is cool. And I feel like that looks a little bit nicer anyway. Rad. Okay, and now I just want to make sure that the paper is the right brightness. Right now I feel like it's a bit too bright. So we were kind of doing something like that in here. It's probably a bit too dark now, but let's just brighten it up a little bit. And essentially what you could eventually do is start adding color. I'm not doing color for this for now because the film's supposed to be black and white, but you can add color and do all kinds of stuff to it. We could even use this as a base and then just start like literally painting color into it, like this. So like if you painted color there and then you wanted to add your like more yellow and do that kind of stuff. And then on your overlay, like you could take these guys and tint them like this. So you can either tint them, like lighten them up a little bit, colorize. You have to, if you're going to colorize them, you have to lighten them up a bit because there's no color for it to work with. You could tint them like that or put them into the blues. Or another thing you do is control click it, turn it off, and then just on top of this, just paint in there, and you'll get exactly what you were trying to do anyway as an alpha channel. See, like that. So the other thing, because it's mostly a transparency map, you can do this. You could go with this and make it a solid, and then change it to whatever color you want. And it'll have that kind of cool painterly feel to it. But anyways, unfortunately, we're not doing color in our movie. At least not for now, until I realize that this has all been a terrible idea and that we need color. I feel like these are a little dark. Not sure. I'm really not quite sure where to put the foliage hue-wise. One thing I guess we could do is we can take a look at the concept art. Well, although the concept art is it's fall, so it's not quite the color I want. We could take this concept art and bring it into Photoshop and then just have a look at what the actual contrast is by turning it black and white. You took the program through 3.5 years. You're still arguing with the professor about 2.5D animation. He is arguing that there's no 2.5D. Oh, well, what is your professor? I mean, I call 2.5D as like that idea of like it's 2D assets all kind of, you're treating them sort of like in a 3D way. We call it 2.5D. A lot of people have started using that terminology in our country in the industry. Whether or not it's recognized in your country, I don't know. But I call it that too because the idea is that it's not 3D because you're not dealing with alpha channels and stuff the same way. Sorry, not alpha. Why am I saying alpha channels? You're not dealing with three-dimensional assets in the same way. But that being said, like I think there is personally. I call it 2.5D because you're kind of using, 3D concepts used with 3D assets, and I would say it's probably going to become even more of an approach as like things like grease pencil, and it's kind of like a hybrid. I always think of it as the hybrid because it's not 2D and it's not 3D. So I'd say it's like halfway in between them both. But I suppose I could see that there being arguments that doesn't exist, I guess. I don't know if I'm not even sure where I heard the term from first myself, really. I just seem to remember it for some reason as being a thing. So also remember though too is with your professors, you got to take it easy on these guys to a degree because you're young. Some of these guys have been in the industry a long time, or they were, or your education comes from a certain period or from a certain angle, and they're really as much as professors are your teachers, regardless of their experience, they're not the authorities on the industry, right? Nobody is, right? I think that's the thing is when we're learning at school, and I'm speculating because I never went to school, but you kind of assign a lot of knowledge to your professors, and there's a bit of a competition sometimes that forms between students and their professors about who knows more about what. And your professors, I think it's like smart if you can as a teacher not to be too rigid on what is or isn't, especially in something as dynamic and constantly changing as the digital industry. Like what's right today is wrong tomorrow. However, I guess it doesn't benefit being a bit flip-floppy either. So, I mean, I guess you just have to take it a bit easy on professors. They do the best they can. They only know what they know. Any of us only know so much. And I would say, from my perspective, there is 2.5D animation. Maybe from the way that your professor approaches animation, there's no such thing. Maybe the question, maybe it's more of a philosophical question about, is there really 2.5D? Can you have a half dimension? I guess arguably you can't. You're either 2D or 3D. But for me, it's about approach. Like, what's the approach? And I don't know. I think Disney broke that idea. I think Disney introduced the idea of 2.5D as soon as they started doing those dense, those immersive backgrounds that they used to have, like for Bambi and stuff like that. They really started using a three-dimensional plane. They added a third dimension to 2D animation. Okay, I think these are okay. They're good enough for now. I'm not sure about the color value of them. Usually I like to have some contrast between my foliage and my trunks and my trees, and maybe my trunks and my trees are too light. I just don't know. I'm kind of struggling with this here. Actually, let's do that thing I was suggesting, is let's open this piece of concept art, or not this image. We'll open this image, or an image. So here's a couple of images. Whoa, that looks crazy. This is one image. Well, that's like ridiculous. But if we desaturate that, oh, it won't let me do it because it's not rasterized. So if we desaturate that, let's just have a look at it. Wow, the foliage is super flat, and the trees are extremely white, even though they almost look like they're the same value. They're not. The foliage is quite a bit darker than the trees. So that's good. I think my gut on that was sort of on point. Wow. Even though that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that. So let's clear that off. Let's pull in the other one. Well, we'll pull in a green one too, because I'm just curious. Green. Let's pull in this one. That one's a cool one. And let's pull in that one with the little house. Where is it? I'm sure all you guys can see it. You're like, it's right there. And I'm like, not even looking at it. Where is it? There it is. Okay, let's desaturate all of these. Rasterize them, please. Will it rasterize? Yes, it will. Great. Okay, so let's look at this one. Interesting. The foliage is quite a bit darker than the branches, or than the tree trunks themselves. Let's see if we can kind of get something that feels sort of close, I guess. The trees are quite light, and the foliage is actually quite dark. So let's do that. That's that. That is what? That doesn't do anything. What is this? Oh, that's just like a hangover layer. So long hangover layer. Okay. Let's darken this even more. So its opacity is set to 100, so let's just darken it down a little bit. Kind of feels like the foliage should be around here. Even in the sunlight, it's sort of dark. So we've got, even though these, I probably shouldn't have made this like a terminal thing. Let me re-bring that art in and not ruin it by applying a permanent color adjustment to it. Okay, we'll just do this again. I got to leave soon because I go pick up my kid. Rasterize. So we'll just do this right here. We'll do an adjustment layer and we'll go, we'll go black and white. There we go. And we'll put it just on this photo. Okay, cool. So what's cool about this, you can really see how dark the foliage is. I was nervous about my original trees because my foliage is so dark, but it's almost like it's got to be dark. I mean, it's so cool. Okay, so that is refreshing. So I know in some ways, I mean, my foliage is a little bit darker, but I need to create contrast. We can modify that later, obviously, but I think it's important that the foliage looks a little bit dark. That's helpful. Okay, cool. All right. Let's just see the green one because I'm curious about the green one now. Yeah, like even in this bright green world, well, the foliage it's pretty dark. The foliage in the bright green is a little more on par with the shadowed bark. Interesting. Well, obviously some of this foliage is under direct sunlight is quite white or light gray, but it's never as light as the trees get. At least it doesn't appear to be. Like when they're side by side, it's not quite, I guess in some spots, but interesting. Interesting. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Oh, sorry, you're asking a question. Take the program through. Oh, you already asked. I already answered that. Good. Okay. All right. We don't have very much time. So I just want to see this one too. Weird. Isn't that crazy? Those leaves look so mega bright. And then I desaturate them and they're darker. They're kind of sitting in the mid area of this shade here. Very interesting. Okay, let's just delete the stuff. Okay, so now we're going to take these and we're going to 3D-ify everything to our best of our abilities. So we'll I'm going to save this out one last time. Well, we'll save it as that. The only thing that's kind of bugging me a little bit is the white on the edges of the tree. I'm not 100% thrilled about that. I might, I don't know. We're not going to worry about it right now. I could always redo the trees. I could re-output the trees. Okay, so what we have to do right now is we have to get rid of this. We're going to just clean up clean up all the layers and just flatten everything out. So this will be our foliage. Okay, and then these are our branches and our trees. Okay, so we're going to try to keep these as one texture. We'll see how that goes. Our foliage, that's all good. We'll delete this. We don't need this. And we don't need the paper. But I'm going to keep the paper there for now, just so we have... Well, actually, let's just put on a gray so we can see what we're doing. Otherwise, it's hard to look at that checkered pattern. Okay, so now what we have to do is we need to add... oh, hey, Holden, Casanova, just wanted to stop by and say, thank you very much. My gosh, you have crazy... Everyone's saying such nice things. Well, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I'm glad this is useful to you. That's very touching. Thank you. You guys, man, you guys say like the nicest things to me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Great. Well, I hope all your professional careers are going amazingly. And always feel free to ask me questions if you have any. Okay, so now we're going to use the Photoshop plugin that we've created. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create some, this might take a minute, but we have to create some layers, some curves out of all this stuff. So let's go select, modify, expand, and we're going to expand this by quite a bit. We'll try 40. Hopefully there's going to be a little bit of interpenetration. That's okay. At least I think it's okay. Let's try this again. I'm just going to select, modify, expand. Let's do 20 for now. Boom. Okay, so we'll create a curve out of this. Maybe. I'm a little nervous about this because this is quite a complex curve. There's two ways we can do this with our program that we made. Is you can just automatically generate meshes for it, or you can draw your own. And you can do both if you really want to. I feel like... Well, I think we're going to have to just draw our own. I really want to draw our own, actually, very much. So let's just get started. So you can either freeform draw them or draw them like what I'm about to do. I'm going to do a little bit of both since the shapes are fairly complicated. So you need, when you're going to draw your edges for this, using this method, you need to kind of give yourself a little room around the trees because you need to make sure that you draw lines wherever you want there to be a change in direction on the polygon. You need to make sure that you have a cross intersection. So I'm going to just kind of show you what this means in a second because I don't know if we're going to have time to do all of it, but I will do my very best to show you the method and the approach. Okay, so we've done this one curve. This is just a work path right now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my freeform pen, and I'm just going to draw some cross lines here and here. And I'm going to do one through here. I'll do one here, and I'll do one here and here. And then I'll do another one here. Actually, let's do one down this and then over, down, over. It'll sort of sort it out for you to a degree, within reason. There, okay. So now we'll do a bunch of these. Actually, I got to be careful of not putting them all over my other sticks. Okay. I might switch over to this one for a second. Pen tool, and I'll just do this. Doot. Oops. No, not what I wanted to do. Don't do that. Okay, and I'm going to just draw this up the spine of the tree. And this will make it so I have like an edge that I can curve the tree from if I want. Okay, I pressed enter. I shouldn't be doing that. Okay, and freeform pen tool. Now this may seem like it's a lot of work to you, but I can tell you from a lot of experience, doing this manually inside of Maya or any other program takes forever. So I'm going to run this one here. Well, try to get that one there as best as I can. Hey, come on. There we go. So I'm going to show you this, how it works in a second here. Some of you guys have probably already seen what I'm about to do. I'm just going to test and see if this specific type of mesh will work. See if I get what I'm expecting. Okay, so I've done this. Now what we can do is we can take this work path and we can associate it directly with this layer, like by doing that. So what it does is it creates like a mask essentially with this mesh data. And then for these, if I want to, I can select these. I can go, well, we can run our algorithm if we really want to, but we can run our Photoshop plugin thing for this. So, but let me just do this. I'm going to just do this manually for now, okay? So I'm going to select, I'm going to go modify, I'm going to go expand. I'm going to expand it by 40, which is a lot, but it's good. And then I'm going to go paths, and I'm going to do a new path. And I'm going to call it, let's make a new path. And wait, why did that not do that? How do you make like a new, okay, let's just do this. I'm sorry. We have an automatic tool for this. Just bear with me for 1 second. Okay, so we go like here. We go to Window, Extensions. We have the PSD exporter, so I'll click on this. And I'm going to make the expansion 40. Let's just, 40 is okay. Should do it to every single layer. We will run the PSD code. We're going to put it inside of our project. Hopefully this works. Projects. And we're going to go to Return to Harry Hill, Production, 3D. It's so deep, so very deep. Scenes, Trees, White Birch, Scenes. I guess we'll put this under Textures for now. Textures. Where did I put that? We'll put this Textures. I'm just going to put it under Work for now. PSD. Let's do... okay, yeah, we'll do that. Work. No. I don't even know. I'm just trying. Sorry, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Let's go like this. Let's go trees B for now. Okay, we'll just put it in here. Trees B. That's what we'll call it. Save. So what this should do is it's going to generate the paths we need to export this. Okay, so we'll just pop it in here. Now we're going to go into Maya. We'll create a new scene. We can save, I guess. And what we'll do is we're going to load the PSD to Maya plugin that we have. Settings, plugins. There we go. This has been a long stream. Sorry, guys. It's kind of boring. I thought we'd be faster than we were, but nope. Okay, so we're going to go here. We're going to go to the PSD window. We'll go here, and we'll load up our file. All right, we'll go find it. This is I hate how everything returns to the root directory. It makes me crazy. Production, 3D, Maya. Man, how many times do you have to do this? Double click, double click, double click, double click. Okay, it's in here. We grab this file. We go open. So it's going to load all the layers. Boop. And it should tell me whether I have a curve layer or a linear path. On all of them, I have linear path. For some reason, my birch thin trunks influence curve didn't come in, which I'll have to fix. I'll just fix that. It's not a big deal. Let me just see if I can fix that really quick. Why didn't it recognize that? Let's just junk this layer. Delete. let's see what our paths look like. I'm going to open up. I'm just going to do this really quick. What you're supposed to do is once you've exported that layer, so if we go here, textures, trees B, once you've exported this and you've loaded it in, then you're supposed to see, like you have these paths here. These are for your linear paths that we've generated. Your next step is to actually start drawing paths. So what I'm just thinking of doing is taking this path that I made here. I'm going to try to see if I can just swap it, drop it over. I'm still learning my workflow a little bit. So if I seem like a complete idiot, no, that doesn't work. Okay, I bet I can't do that. Let me see if I can copy this work path. Can we copy it? Let's try this. No. Layers. No, wrong project, dude. Come on. Okay, take this. I'm going to see if I can copy this. I bet I won't be able to. This would be too good to be true. I'm going to have to do it all over again because I'm stupid and I wasn't supposed to do this way. Okay, it worked. There we go. Okay, so we have this. So let's save this file again. Okay. And then we will reload. Now hopefully we see that we have a path available. Yes, we have a linear and a curve path. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go vector layer on this one. We'll go linear on these for now. So we have this algorithm 10 and 10. That's fine for now. This one's fine. So let's go generate our PNGs. So that's going to make all of our images with transparencies for us. And once it goes to 100%, it's done. We generate mesh. Well, I generated one mesh. And this is the mesh we drew with our texture on it. See? And it looks like it got everything. So it did a pretty good job. I think we've managed to avoid doubling up. Yeah, it cleaned it up okay. We missed a little bit here. The nice thing about this plugin, though, is if you do see that you missed something. So if we go here, which one are we looking at? Yeah, so if we do see that we missed something, that it didn't grab it for some reason, we just go over here and we fix it. So which one did it cut off? I think it cut off the third branch down. 1, 2, 3. No, it was the second one, this one. I think we just need an extra line there. It's this guy here. So what are we missing? Why can't I see this? This is making me crazy. Okay, so I'm going to put one more line through here on this guy. Make sure it's selected. Come on, man. Select, and I'll just draw this line through here. See if that helps. We'll save. And then all we have to do is we go back to the plugin, and then we just go reload. And then we just rebuild it. Go here, and we go generate mesh. There. So it's pretty easy to go back and forth and fix stuff if something's not working the way you expect. Even here, we got this 1 point, but why don't we have these two? Well, let's have a look. There's usually a good reason, but sometimes there isn't. Sometimes things just don't work. So what I'll do is I'm going to just add another line right here. There we go. Save it. And then reload. And then generate mesh. Boom, that's better, see? So we can easily fix stuff this way and get this really rapid mesh generation and kind of get what you would expect. So this collapsed on these corners down here. So let's fix that. We're going to have to check. I'm going to have to check why that's happening because we should be preserving these vertices here, but for some reason it's not. So I'm just going to draw one here just to make sure it holds together. Yeah, I'm not really sure why that happened, but I've never used a corner thing before like that. So it could be just there's not enough points for it to recognize. I have no idea. We could go here and just grab our pen and add a couple of points around here just to make sure. Let's see if that helps. Anyways, the nice thing about this plugin is it's very straightforward. Like you can iterate really quickly and go back and forth and find out if something is going wrong. You just have to experiment, and then you don't have to keep running the script or anything like that. It's just right in here. Again, let's reload. Okay, and then just generate the mesh again. There we go. And I got those corners back, it looks like. Okay, cool. So then I can modify this mesh as I need to after the fact now that it's already there, but all the hard work is done. Like this would have taken me quite a bit of time to draw that out in Maya. But also, let's just pop the plugin back on. I can also generate, did we generate the PNGs for this? So we'll generate these PNGs. Because I think you can do all three at once. I think I just had these ones selected. Just the one selected. Okay, so it's done. So now what we can do is let's generate the two meshes. There we go. Now it looks like I don't have enough grid data to really break this up properly. So you see it's kind of creating a mesh to try to hold all this together. And I only have a setting of 10. So let's go here, and what I'll do is we don't have to delete or undo what we did. We can just go here and go, let's have a look at the foliage, and let's put 100 and generate the mesh again. There we go. So it's cleaned up that mesh for us, and now we have more points to work with. And that's like an auto mesh generator. So that means you don't have to like go in and draw the curves like I did. Especially if you're just doing matte painting and you don't really want to have to deal with that stuff. It makes it a lot easier. So let's go for this one 50. Let's see if this is enough. It's a little better. The other thing you can do is once you've done this, you can triangulate the mesh and then just delete off any of the extra stuff that you don't like. So again, you don't really have to know what you're doing super well. I'm curious, I've never done this before, but can we regenerate the mesh if we've moved it? Let's go 60 and let's go generate mesh. Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. So let's go 40, generate mesh. Right, okay. 50, generate mesh. Cool, the 50 sort of seems to be a sweet spot for that one. This one's pretty high. Let's just lower that a little bit. Let's lower it down to foliage. So down to 50 as well. And then we can just sort of delete extra faces on that if we want to. But for these foliage meshes, I'm going to draw my own little things there. We can just do it right in that PSD that we were just using. So if we go here, for instance, and we want to add some mesh to the foliage, I'll just do this. I'm going to grab my freeform pen and draw in a circle around here. Close that together. And then I'm just going to draw a nice, maybe I want it to be kind of rounded in some way. Rounded. That. But if I want to do that, I got to make sure I have enough faces to define that form. Okay. Actually, let's do this. I'm kind of curious about this. Let's make it a little bit more radial feeling. So we'll go around here like this. I'm just curious about this. I've not done this before. Okay, and then sort of like we'll cross like here, here. I'm not really sure what this will do. Here, here, because we have these weird faces now just sort of sitting there. I'm curious how it's going to try to solve this. Let's run those right over. Let's run those right over top. Geez, I keep missing. There. Let's see what this does. I'm not sure what this will do. This could make a total mess. So now that we have that, we can just go like this. And now it's created just this one mesh. So we can go into the plugin. We'll save it. And we'll go back into the plugin. Back into Maya. And we'll ask it to regenerate the mesh. But this time we're going to use the vector curve to generate the mesh. So let's open you up. Where are you? PSD to 3D. There it is. Okay, here it is. Let's take the foliage. And this time we're going to reload. And it should tell us, this should go green now, that tell us we have a vector curve available. So let's do vector layer. And let's try to generate the mesh. There we go. Interesting. It tried to do its best with the mess that I made. So for this one, let's try another one. That was kind of messy. It looks like it sort of lost the, it lost this shape right here. And it looks like it's primarily, you know what? It opts for it tries to pick a closed curve. So, oops, there we go. Let's shift that off and we'll draw another one. So let's go here like this. There we go. Close it up. So I'm just drawing a nice basic grid. We have a little extra. That's okay. Cool. You could do really complex edge loops and stuff like that. It's just a matter of figuring out your workflow for it. Actually, let's just undo that. I want to do this one more time. I kind of want to see if I feel like if I don't close this, it should work. It's going to take me a while to learn how to draw edge loops properly that I'm used to drawing in 3D. Because that kind of would work. I would assume that should work. Let's see what it does with that. That gives us kind of more of an edge loopy thing. Did it commit that or no? What, it doesn't exist? What? We'll delete this. Delete. There it is. Okay, let's try this one more time. Save. Okay, I gotta go soon. Oh, I gotta go soon. It's getting late. All right, let's go back to Maya and have a look. Boop. Let's open our little plugin. Try to reload. Generate. Oh, it worked. Whoa, cool. That makes me very excited. That's pretty cool. Oh, it missed this one right here. But that's okay. That's so easy to fix. I mean, you could fix it in the program, but I could also just do like the multi-cut tool and go bonk, bonk. Done. I have sweet edge loops right there. Cool, man. That's fun. All right, so it does work. Anyways, it's kind of the process. The thing that you can do now with these, now that we've done all this work, is we can take this and we can round it out. We can just take this in and just go boop. And now we have sort of a rounded tree a little bit. And then we can take this thing, obviously, and do something very similar. And round out our foliage a little bit. Or use the sculpt tool. So if we want to smooth it, we can smooth it. And then use some of our sculpting tools to sculpt it and pull it around. And create some cool shapes. And then once we're done, we've got a little bit of a more form structure-y thing, which is pretty fun. Okay, so I got to stop this, but it's been fun. I've got to finish my trees, and I'm going to try to. I know once again, we just showed like a fraction of the process, but it is working, I think, really nicely. And I think we can safely assume this is going to be good. All right, so I got to take off. I gotta save all these files and try to get them home so I can keep working before the night. So okay, cool. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. You guys are awesome. Thanks for sticking in for such a boring stream. I know it's utterly nauseatingly boring. So I appreciate you guys hanging out and listening to me verbally vomit on your faces for hours. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Bye.